It's a great pleasure to be back here on stage to present you the next category of the FIFA Ballon d'Or, which is the FIFA World Coach of the Year, Men's Football. My name is Delia Fischer, and I'm FIFA's head of media. But before we get actually started with the coaches, please allow me to recap a little bit the voting process. It is indeed the experts who are voting and deciding who are the best of the football year 2014. It is the national team coaches and the captains of the 209 member associations, as well as you, the media from all around the world, who are deciding who is the best in each category of the FIFA Ballon d'Or. As you know, every year, right after the show, we are publishing who voted for whom in a transparent manner published on FIFA.com. And maybe it might be useful for you to know that each person who is actually voting has to send to FIFA a signed voting sheet confirming his votes. So I hope for once we'll clarify how the process is to be voted and who voted for whom, and we can just enjoy the great performances. And before we welcome on stage the coaches and nominees for the FIFA World Coach of the Year, let's have a short video.
Nominees for FIFA World Coach of the Year for men's football. Carlo ANCELOTTI, coach of Real Madrid. Joachim LOEW, coach of Germany. Simeone, coach of Atlético de Madrid. Who will be the FIFA World Coach of the Year for men's football 2014?
I think the video showcased well the extraordinary achievements of the nominees for the FIFA World Coach of the Year men's category. And as such, it's a great pleasure to welcome on stage with us in alphabetical order, Carlo ANCELOTTI, Joachim LOEW, and Simeone. For each of them, it would be actually their first title should they win this evening. Thank you for joining us today here this afternoon ahead of a great evening. For all of you, 2014 was an outstanding, fantastic year. Can you share with us a little bit, what does it need and what is the key element with a team of great personalities and big ambitions to form a successful team? Is it to keep them grounded? Maybe Carlo ANCELOTTI?
Primero creo que cosa más importante el trabajo.
What's most important is hard work, the ability to work together, the ability to bring the different qualities of individuals to bear on the work of the team. It's a long effort, one needs to be patient. And what's most important is that the players see that above everything is the team and the club.
Hello?
Well, I also believe that, of course, a coach needs knowledge, but I think he also must be a shrewd psychologist, because this is one of the most important tasks of any coach. Put together a team to see what characters go with which others, and in order to build a competitive team. And I believe that this is one of the central duties of a coach, to recognize what type of a player you have, what personalities you have in your team. And that next to the technical competencies you need is perhaps the most important criterion.
Bueno, yo sumándome a lo que decía tanto Carlos como LOEW, agregaría la competencia interna.
I would also talk about
la mejor manera de competir hacia afuera,
internal competition. That's the best way to compete towards outside. You need to have competition on the inside of a team in order to be in the starting lineup. That's how you focus players And that's how you make sure that you can use any player for these long competitions we're in, be it cups, leagues, or Champions League. We're talking about many different tournaments here, a lot of time in which players need to be ready, and the best way to be ready, to add to what has been said by the others, is to have competition on the inside of a team.
The International Football Association Board, who oversees the laws of the games, has introduced a new football advisory panel to give the coaches like yourself and other key stakeholders in the game a direct voice to influence changes to the laws of the games. As a coach, what would you like to alter in the laws of the games to improve the game? And also, what do you think about technology in the game? Herr Löw, vielleicht möchten Sie?
Well, fundamentally, I think it is important that the goal line technology has been introduced in Germany now. I think that was an important step forward, because these are the decisive moments, and with the goal line technology, you can take an instant decision without having to interrupt the game. And if I could influence the laws of the game, then I would perhaps ask for a fourth substitution. I think this would come in very handy. We've seen during the World Cup that the challenges are higher, the matches are faster, more intense, and when you have extra time to play, I as a coach would very much appreciate the possibility for a fourth substitution to influence tactically the match.
Well, I think that goal line technology can be very useful. It's good to have this technology that helps us understand whether it's been a goal or not a goal. That way we can clearly define whether there's a point scored or not. Otherwise, I'm not sure if it can really change much the game. And I think it's far too penalizing to have this last man rule. When the ref blows a penalty in the box and a red card, that would probably be a bit too much of a penalty. I would change that 3-sanction rule.
And Señor Simeone, sobre el IFAB, porque el IFAB tiene un nuevo
Now, Simeone, on the IFAB, would you have anything to suggest, or what can IFAB do to players and coaches to promote change in the laws of the game that would be good? What would you like to change in these laws? Well, I agree with what Carlo was saying. I think that the triple sanction with a penalty and a send-off, that's a bit too much. And obviously having a team with one man less, that's very damaging. And then this rule of having the referee behind the goal, I think that's very helpful. It helps the main ref take the right decisions when he can't see it.
All of you have a group of very talented players, but also superstars. On one hand, what does it take in order to transfer successfully from a very talented player to a top player? And also, how do you find the right balance between superstars and talented players on the verge to become a superstar? Maybe Carlo ANCELOTTI?
No, creo que no. Un entrenador no va a decidir quién la estrella, quién no lo hay, tiene un grupo de jugadores. En mi experiencia he tenido suerte de encontrar jugadores de gran talento, con una gran profesionalidad y una gran seriedad. Por esto no es tan difícil, es bastante fácil tener una relación entre ellos y sobre todo que ellos van a tener relación con el resto del grupo. Creo que al final es lo que hemos dicho antes, cuando un jugador entiende que de dar al equipo todas sus calidades, ha entendido todo, en el sentido que creo que también el gran jugador representa un ejemplo muy importante para el resto del equipo. Pero para un entrenador el tratamiento tiene que ser lo mismo entre estrellas y entre jugadores que tengan menos calidad.
Mr. Löw, you have many young players. Well, I guess it is important as a coach that you treat all the players on an equal footing, sportingly and as human beings. And furthermore, according to my experience of the last few years, communication is an important factor because players, any player belonging to the elite playing in the top clubs and national team, I mean, these are disciplined, serious players, they're ambitious players, they want to reach their top level, and if they do not have the physical conditions for that kind of play, they don't make it. So there's this huge ambition, clearly visible, and therefore I believe it is important to talk to the players, make them understand that they have responsibility, and tell them, mainly to players who have a specific experience already, that they have responsibility, and whether a player is a superstar or not, that's up to him, that's in his hands, and depends on his performance.
Could you repeat the question, please? Well, the question has to do with young players in a team. What would you have to say with respect to balancing the young players with the stars? Since you are a coach, how do you create a good team with this element of balance between these two different levels, also the issues of personality? Well, yes, we do try to strike the balance, answers Simeone. We try to strike this balance and we try to also establish clear communication with the kids, be they young boys or older boys. For me, in football, there aren't any ages. They're all there to play, and once you're a player, you start becoming a man, be you 20 years old or 35 years old. And doubtless handling the responsibility of working in a group makes an individual become far closer to his teammates, and they start by building a team.
Football continues to evolve and become faster and faster, with players becoming every year physically and athletically more complete. I think we have seen that impressively at the 2014 FIFA World Cup on that. How do you see the future of top football, and also the number of games per year? Do you see this is evolving on that? So, Diego?
Well, it's true, it's an enormous amount of matches. We have Champions League matches, cup matches in Spain, because we have a two-match format in Spain, the league matches and the national team matches. The national coaches need these matches to work on their team, but obviously the kids and players need to be taken care of extremely well in order to reach their best level of fitness over a long period of time and in such a long year of competition. Therefore, it would be good at some stage to find some sort of alternative so that those, the players, the ones that give us our show, be in the best shape for the biggest events. Because if they reach a World Cup, for example, and they're so tired for having played so many games, and there's so much expectation around 4 years to play a World Cup, and arriving with not the best level of preparation.
Carlo ANCELOTTI?
Well, I think that in the last few years football has changed, and it will continue to change. For a coach, this means that our job has to change. Also, we need to evolve. When I started, I had a week to prepare a match, and now that's a dream. Every year I might have 7 days to prepare a match, if I'm extremely lucky. That's how it used to be, always. Now I need to prepare a match every 3 days. This changes the work of the coach completely, and also the work the players have to do. I think right now there are too many matches.
Mr. LOEW, as a national coach in the World Cup, how do you see the further development of football? Well, as to the previous question, I believe that we have reached a level of what the players can handle, and the match calendar has reached a top level. If you consider the speed of the matches and the frequency of the matches, then you see there's enormous workload on the players, and then during summertime you have specific tournaments, and then sometimes for young players it's just better to train than to play for further development. So we really have to be very careful that we don't go too far. And I see in the World Cup and the Champions League how football is evolving, and tactically, physically, the players are playing at an enormous high level. And there's less space. How can you find empty spaces on the pitch? How can you go into them? The mental speed you need, this all is decisive if you want to develop further today.
Last question from our side for this part is grassroots football. How important is grassroots football for yourselves? And are you still in contact with actually your club roots? Maybe Diego?
Well, yes, for sure. Especially in the clubs that have less economic firepower to purchase big stars. We have the need and the obligation to focus on the grassroots that can provide us with alternatives down the road so that later they can play with our team or maybe become an economic asset. At Atletico Madrid, we try to do this work, and whenever we see the opportunity to have a kid play at a higher level so that he can join the team, be it in pre-season or in regular training, that way they can understand how the first team trains. We do this, we offer this opportunity so that over the year, when we want to count on him, he understands how the first team trains. Not only that he be a good player, but also that he knows our mindset when we train in the top team.
Hello.
Well, grassroots football is the basis for our football, and if we have lots of people in the grassroots, then we'll have more people, more good people moving up. And we'll also have the possibility with more players to train more coaches. And it is important to get the players at the proper age, knowing what's in store for them.
Carlo ANCELOTTI.
Well, in Real Madrid last year, we took 5 players from the second team to the top team. They're all young players with extraordinary qualities. I think it's important to do this not only because of the quality of the players involved, not only for grassroots football, but also because the player that grows at the grassroots level has something rather special to offer, since he's wearing the jersey of the top team of his club, the club that helped him develop. This is important.
Thanks a lot. Before we give the floor to the media, we have one question from a fan from Twitter, from Ahmed Osaimi for Diego Simeone. As a successful manager and a leader of men, what fuels your passion?
Well, what feeds my passion for the game, it's really to see how my footballers identify with my vision. I think as a coach, one of our biggest challenges is to transmit this. They need to be able to understand, sometimes not even at a subconscious level, what is our vision. And once we achieve that, it's a great emotion.
Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is yours. Please wait on our colleagues with the microphones. We'll start over there, second row. Yes? Please also mention your name and to whom you address the question.
Andy May, BT Sport. Hello, Carlo. How are you? I wondered if it's possible to get a few words from you in English about Cristiano's year in 2014. Would that be possible, please? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. About Cristiano? Cristiano made a fantastic season. I think I said a lot of time, I spoke a lot of time about him. It was a great help for us because, above all in Champions League, because he scored 17 goals in Champions League, and he had really a year with a lot of continuity, scored a lot of goals, and fantastic help for the team.
Over there.
Buenas tardes, Martín Fernández de Globo,
Good
Brasil.
evening, Martin Fernandez, Global Brazil.
Brasil tiene muchos jugadores
Brazil has
alto nivel
many
en Europa,
high-level
pero
players
no
in
tiene
Europe,
ningún entrenador
but
en alto nivel.
it doesn't have any high-level
Ustedes que son de
coach.
nacionalidades distintas, ¿por qué
You are
creen
from
que
different
no
nationalities.
hay un
Do you have
entrenador brasilero
an
en alto
idea why
nivel?
there isn't a
Y
high-level
a
Brazilian
LOEW si puede
coach?
decir su recuerdo del
And
7-1.
maybe Lowe can talk about his memories of the 7-1 game.
To whom do you want to address the question?
Sorry?
To whom? For him?
To all of them.
Bueno, yo no creo que
Well,
Brasil no tiene buenos
I don't
entrenadores.
think
Creo
Brazil
que tiene
doesn't
buenos
have good
entrenadores.
coaches.
Creo que el entrenador que ha tenido el
I
equipo
think the
nacional,
coach that the
Scolari, es un
national
muy buen
team had,
entrenador.
Scolari, is
Pero de vez en
a
cuando
great
los
coach.
entrenadores son
But
obligados a
sometimes
dar los
coaches
resultados.
are
El resultado de
judged
Brasil
by results.
no fue bueno, esto no
The
significa
results
que
weren't
Brasil
good,
no-
but this doesn't mean
Brasil no
that
tiene buenos entrenadores.
Brazil
Hay
does
buenos
not have good
entrenadores en todo el
coaches.
mundo.
They are good coaches. They have good coaches throughout the world.
Well, I share this view because Brazil has a flurry of marvelous players, technically well trained, and this is patent proof that they have good coaches because these players make it to all the top teams in the world. So it is difficult for me to assist that from here, but definitely you have lots of good coaches in Brazil.
Well, coaches are often directly related to results, and maybe since there wasn't a good result in the World Cup, you've reached that conclusion. I believe that Brazil had great footballers. They didn't have the World Cup that they dreamed, but that does not mean that they don't have good coaches.
Massimo Franchi?
I have a question for Ancelotti. Hello, Carlo. I'll ask it in Spanish. Well, first of all, congratulations for your great success with Real Madrid. But as my friend from Brazil says, there is a great sadness that there's only one Italian. At the time, or in the past, we had Zidane, Kaká, Nedved, that were players who were playing in Italian Serie A for these golden Ballon d'Or, and now we're not present anymore. What do you think of Italian football that might be in crisis? You've also had to change league. Well, I think that this is something that goes by cycles. We have the coach that won the World Cup, and Germany afterwards had problems afterwards. Now they've started to reorganize the German football, and that's the result of this work is the recent victory. I think Italy is going through the same thing. Italian football is going through a low moment, but this too shall pass. We will be more ready in the future because Italian football is key to world football.
Okay, we do two more questions, one here and one in the back.
Marc Behrenbeck von Sky Sport News HD aus Deutschland.
Hi, from Sky News in Germany. You indicated that you voted for Manuel Neuer. We've taken a look at the world media. Apparently Ronaldo is a favorite, but why Neuer? Well, first and foremost, let me say that all three players selected are superior players which have shown a magnificent performance. Messi, Ronaldo, they score 40, 50 goals per year. For many years now they have been working at a very high level. They have done outstanding things. But Manuel Neuer, for me, definitely over the last years, has shown outstanding performances. He is a World Cup winner, and he is definitely also responsible for our victory. He has marked a new way of goalkeeping, something we've never seen before, and he's also a player who is active outside the area. He's definitely a player who deserves to win, but all things considered, all three deserve the title.
And the last question on the back.
Philipp Nagel, question to Mr. Löw. Now, this title, what would it mean? Is it just the icing on the cake, or is that really an element that will crown the World Cup year? And is there a party coming up in Zurich tonight? What is important for me was the title obtained last year, and perhaps the icing on the cake is to be among the 3 nominees. And all of us, Diego, Carlo, they have done something extraordinary in their clubs. They deserve it.
Unfortunately, pressed by time, I would like to thank our nominees and wish you all the best for tonight. Muchas gracias and vielen Dank. And we will continue here at 4 o'clock with the nominees for the FIFA Ballon d'Or. Thank you.